Hey, Monkey Nation, let's talk prepping for a minute. If you haven't done so, Monkey Werx has put together an affiliate program with My Patriot Supply. And right now for the month of May, if you jump over here and get 3 months worth of emergency food prep, you can actually get $200 worth of really cool gear. And that is for this month, $200 worth of free gear for every 3-month food emergency kit that you buy. You get that $200 worth of gear while supplies last. That is monkeywerxprep.com. Head over there and take the necessary steps for you and for your family. This is the time to do it, not once things start to already begin, because you won't be able to get your hands on this stuff once things go hot. So again, monkeywerxprep.com. We'll see you soon. God bless. Monkey out. All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. Listen, it's going to be your SITREP. It is Wednesday. It's 11 a.m. Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas. And I will tell you, we've got a lot of stuff going on out there we need to be paying very close attention to, just because the fact that where this is all going, we're going to look closer at the survey flights, because there's some elements that I think are important data points for us all to understand. And I just have a very bad feeling that what they're looking at and why they're looking at it is based on what I think is coming. And I think it's unavoidable. I really do. Just based on the world, the way things are just kind of shaking loose. We have a multitude of different things coming at us, like all kinds of different fronts. We've got war and rumors of wars. Heard that somewhere before. But, we're talking economic collapse that is on the horizon. There are just a lot of different things. And when I say that, I mean the dollar is going to collapse, or they're going to go to a digital currency. But in order to do that, they're not just going to flip a switch and it goes. This is probably going to bleed down. The dollar will go away. It's going to cause turmoil around the world. But we've got other things, and I show you on a pretty regular basis that are going on, right? Whether it's, supply chain related, recession related, whether it's war, like I said, it's just a multitude of different things that any single one of them could cause unrest. And whether it's here domestically or abroad, but we don't, we're not just contained here to the U.S. in terms of our viewers. There are people in Australia, England, Canada, all around the world that watch this show. And they got a good beat on things. And if we watch the stuff, the air traffic and the things that are going on, it's going to give us a very good indicator as to what our government is worried about, right? So that said, let's hop over here. If you would, hit that like, subscribe, bell for notification. That would be fantastic. It really does, no joke, help the channel tremendously. So, all right, let's get over here to our mini-me board. We're in Skyglass. Looks a little different this time. Instead of showing you the roll-up, we're going to kick it off with the air refuelers that are up. I've got 50 air refuelers on screen. That's just over the United States. That is a very high number. Keep in mind that Flashbang is actually rolling out today, headed to Japan. He's got a stop in Alaska, and then he's on his way. But if you just kind of look at the board in general, notice, let me take away all the hash marks, because these are all air refuelers, and then just kind of give you the icons, all right? Stuff going on out here West Coast, near Beale. Look at this, down near the border again. What is going on here in this general area that would require fighters? All right, I get Homeland Security, I get Texas DPS, but there are no other aircraft down there that require air refueling other than fighters. So what is happening over here? Cartel? Could we become the new Israel, where we actually start doing airstrikes on cartel on this side? Could be. We're going to look at Israel too here closer. But just look at the United States in general, right? In the middle of the United States, very, very busy. A lot of activity down over Florida. Kind of expect to see that. A lot of stuff up the northeast coast. Now, let's get over to Europe with that, and then we'll come back to the United States. And I just saw something, too, caught my eye as this thing was transitioning. I'll see if I can't get us back over there. But, yeah, did you notice the 3 that were headed across the drink? Typically, when you see those, it is because they are refueling fighters going across the drink. Fighters don't have enough juice or gas, fuel, to get across the drink. And so They just basically mount up with this air refueler, get gas on the way, and every time that they need it, they just pull back in, and it's a pretty good coordinated event. But okay, so this is it looks like Italian Air Force doing some air refueling here. I don't see too much more. A little bit more down here, Italy again. I say that. Let me just, what does that say? United Kingdom, sorry, UK doing some air refueling here. This is Italy down here. And then I'm going to just drag us over a little bit over the water because that's what I saw. And give me just a minute here. Sorry. My mouse, for some reason, does not want to play well with me when I'm in this app. I don't know why. Okay. Anyway, DC-10, that is interesting. United States. This one here is U.S. as well. And then this one here is U.S. So we've got 3 air refuelers flying across the drink right now. The big question, and notice it's a direct, more of a direct route versus, kind of taking that arch that most of the others go to up to England. That, that's probably because there is a multitude of fighters behind these that are pulling in, getting gas to keep them going. When you have 3 of them, that'll tell you that's a lot of fighters. So what have we discussed in the past that ties to that? There's a huge activity going on or going down in about 2 weeks, roughly 2 weeks, in Finland. It's going to be the largest fighter gathering in history. And it's all Air National Guard folks leaving the United States, headed over to that side of the world to do what I think is a 2-week event. So that's why you probably see those fighters, right? So it's pretty cool being able to just kind of bundle that with the news cycle, right? We've seen it. They talked about it. Now we see 3 aircraft going over. Now, like I mentioned before, when it comes to fighters, each one of those from an F-16 perspective, each one can probably service about 30 F-16s. In terms of capacity, fuel capacity, what they hold versus what the F-16s hold. So is it just F-16s? Probably not, but just kind of give you a back of a napkin. If it were 3 aircraft, that's 90 fighters that they could be servicing. I could imagine that'd be a heck of a sight. Altitude-wise, 27,000? That's about the right altitude. Way down below commercial traffic. Commercial traffic's going to be probably 38 to 40 range, maybe 36, but they're a lot higher. All right. Okay, let's talk watch list for a minute, and we'll get into some of this other stuff going on. So down, Texas border, like I said, that's what you expect to see down there, not fighters. There is our balloon still up over Oklahoma, in addition to the other mil intel balloons. More survey flights. 2 B-52s up north, not being tracked, but let's see where they go. They may be headed across the drink. Don't really know. They're just south of the border right now. That's all survey flights, folks. 27 up right now, survey flights. It's going to be Noah Bird. And then you can see down south, survey flight. Notice the search pattern there. It's out over the water. That's what tells me this isn't like USGS related stuff. All right. It's not down in that area. Dutch Sense can talk to that better than anybody, but I don't think this is related to that. Again, more survey flights all over Florida, Panhandle, up into Jacksonville area. Then we have a couple Homeland Securities, more surveys. That one right there is LaSalle Aviation, and that is Brio 68 getting busy. That's a spy bird, by the way. It is captured in the survey stuff. That's a drone just getting airborne. We'll look at that here in just a second, too. Same spot. Quantum Spatial Inc. Survey flight. All right, let's get over to Europe. And Brio 66, again, that's LaSalle Aviation. That's a third party doing or conducting reconnaissance, all right? Again, same spots we always see them. Those right there, Mil Intel balloons, German Air Force, Mil Intelligence. Looking at everything. Little G5. Don't know what they're doing over there, but looks like they're just taking off out of Italy. And let's get some different angles there. We do have a little P8 up there near northern England. We'll look at that closer here in a minute too when we look at the NOTAMs, because that area's actually got a lot of exercises going on. Okay. And then let's get down here. That's going to be Israeli Air Force. That's an air refueler, a B-703. It may have other capabilities, but for the most part, that's doing some air refueling. And that means you probably got Israeli F-15s, F-16s, F-35s up. Probably striking Gaza. Again, we'll look at that closer. Now, let's talk down under. And this was a screen cap from last night. So if you want to know, these little PC-21s going to be trainers. That's a Navy P-8, Australian Navy P-8. I backed it up so we can actually get an eyes on. Sorry. Again, PC-21s, trainers. I think the PC-22 is also a trainer, although I will tell you that led me to some, that's a little BE-350. It's going to be a beach. And then a little further up, yeah, the little P-22, again, I'll have to look. I'm pretty sure that is a trainer as well, but I need to just dig in. The Australian Air Force stuff is, it's not something I'm totally familiar with. I get the P-8s, the C-130s, the C-17s, etc., but all the other stuff I'm still kind of getting familiar with, so I apologize. And that's what's going on over Japan. That's a Navy logistics bird, a little C-2, and then a little BE-350, some C-560s, little Citations. That's a nice little jet, actually. Probably Marine Corps. But yeah, all right. That's going to be down under, and we're going to go up here. Let me see what else we've got. We'll talk R-135s, give you just a general idea. Mainly Europe and Japan we're going to look at. We'll look at U.S. briefly, but I think it was 17 flights in the last 3 days, roughly. You can see they did the little loop around Kaliningrad. We talked about that in the last SITREP, so that captured that. A little activity over the Persian Gulf, over Iraq. Again, R-135, if you're not familiar with this, this is a super high-tech reconnaissance bird. Not as high-tech as, that's just a little single flight there over, taking off out of Japan, Okinawa. Not as high-tech as the Q4 drone or the Q9 Reaper, but it's still pretty impressive. It is it's the one that can track an object the size of a soccer ball from 300 miles away, if that tells you anything. That is pretty impressive. Now, the only thing I see different catches my eye is this coming down towards the border there. But other than that, that's the U.S. Not too much going on. Let's get over here to Sub Hunters. And you'll see we'll kick it off again down under. And I'm just trying to show some love down there to the Australians. I know we've got a lot of followers down there, and I just never cover it because of the time of day. So I've been trying to do a better job at that, just to get you guys kind of in the fold of what's going on out there. And a little bit of work there. Again, we've got some exercises in that general area we're going to talk to when we get into the NOTAMs here shortly. But you can see that one coming down towards Malta, right? Again, probably Navy P-8, if I had to guess. Okay, now let's get away from this. The U.S. stuff was the normal, nothing new to see there, all right? Let's talk surveys. All right, Los Angeles again. Notice, and I'm going to pause it here for a second. Actually, it's in the loop cycle, so we'll let it continue on. Notice the lines are changing. That it's not your normal patterns back and forth. Okay, that tells you that whatever they were conducting via that search grid, they're now onto a different layer or a different type of search. Long lines, those are going to be transitions. Notice stuff going on this is headed up into Alaska now. That's a transition. So we'll be watching for Alaska to come online with some search stuff going on over Anchorage. A lot of stuff going on up in Canada. All right. Now notice that is the search grid. But here's the thing that I'm finding. as I started researching when they usually do these surveys, they're usually conducted in October. And the reason for that is because the trees, right? Very difficult to get good, solid footage that's outside of LiDAR when you have everything in bloom, right? So they do it in the fall, and they can get better imagery and better detail. Things aren't hidden, right? Okay, you tracking? Now look at this over Minnesota. Again, this is, we're seeing an uptick. I thought it was actually leveling off and maybe they were finishing. But what we're seeing is a transition to a different style of survey. All right, these are still the grid lines, but we're starting to see a lot of squiggly stuff, right? A lot of round, sloppy circles looking at things. Now, this 210 in 3 days, all right, so that's gone up. The interesting thing is there are some articles out there that talk about USGS conducting some surveys. And I will say that, you know what? Yeah, there's going to be some onesie twosies in this mix that are USGS or local governments conducting surveys, but it doesn't account for what we're looking at now, 2,300, maybe 2,500 in the last 60 days. So pretty significant. Look at this slop over Pennsylvania, right? Look at this. That's squiggly all over the place, right? That tells you that's not a survey look, right? They're mapping something. They're looking more specifically at an area, and it's not your regular, probably LiDAR type of environment, right? Now, so see that back and forth? Expect to see that. These long, long transitions. Now, these two are coming out of the Bahamas. I never caught anything going on in the Bahamas. I just catch them leaving the Bahamas. Notice they go way out, way high, kind of out in two different directions. Looks like they went out and came back, but we'll get over to Europe. I don't really have anything in Europe today. Surprising, but nothing there. Let's go down to Australia. And we do have a little bit. You'll see one up in the top. Looks like that's just a quick move. Now, the Australians got to tell me, because I'm not familiar with this. This may be a normal activity over Melbourne. I don't really know, right? And we got some out west here towards Perth. That one up north. That one looks like it just took off and landed. Probably tied to a helo or something, right? But this one down south of Perth, I don't know. I just know that they are continuing because that has gotten more and more frequent. I just turned that one on, so it'd be interesting to go back the last 60 and see if there is some substantial stuff going on down there. All right. But with the shenanigans that take place in Australia, that's one we got to pay close attention to, because I just you just don't know, right? We do know we can't trust our government. We do know that, or our governments for that matter. Okay. We know their plan. So let's get over here to this. We'll go back to our mini board and kind of get into it now. Again, this is looks like they've got a lot of fighters headed across the drink for that major event that's going to go on in Finland. Timing is interesting. Keep in mind that we still have a little bit of spring left, and this exercise will be taking place during that time. Could it be a move? How many times have we seen them deem something an exercise when it really was not that? But it was just to fool people to thinking that it was an exercise, right? So we talked Q4 drone. Let's pop onto that. I'm going to pull this up. By the way, if you don't have Skyglass and you're interested in getting it, you can follow the links down below. But AVR Labs is where you want to go. It's a download. It's $5 a month. It's really not much. And I will tell you, the data that you get in here is not like any other data. And the reason for that is most of them are going to be from straight on top looking down. You're not going to get that side view. And here you can start to disseminate a lot of different data by tracking at the actual traces from the side. All right. Because then it starts to show you altitude deviations. Case in point, when we started looking at the Nord Stream P8, right? You watch that flight hook up for refueling, and then it goes out over the target. Then it starts to do a little roundabout, heads upstream, and then you start to see the deviation in altitude. All of the altitude changes, not just a straight up. Paints a different picture, right? So anyway, this is looks to be currently over Morehead City, and it is at 49, just under 50,000 feet. But this little dude, it'll be up. It's got a hang time of about 18 hours, so it'll be up all day, more than likely. And it'll be grabbing all kinds of stuff down here below. It's got a range. This thing can actually track stuff almost halfway across the United States. All right, just to give you an idea in terms of the range. But it's an amazing piece of equipment, no doubt about it, all right? Okay, now we back it up. Let's get just a true head count here as we see things heading across. I'm going to dip down so that it closes out Europe, and we're about 244, which is that's a pretty good number given the fact that we've already taken out 83 trainers, all right? So very active today, very active. Okay, now let's get over here to flight radar, and we're just going to talk for a minute the volcanic activity, and you can see a little bit of an uptick. We do have 2 over Japan going right now, and then this one down south, it looks to be only a single, but definitely a little bit of an uptick. The one in Russia has basically subsided, so not on here anymore. Click over here. This one I thought was interesting. Oh, it has landed, so all right, we'll just skip it. It actually was a little Eurofighter doing a lot of maneuvering there over England. So, all right, go over here to Flashbang. See what old Sleepy Joe is up to today. All right, looks like he got an early start, starting at around 8 a.m. and then did some Medal of Honor recipient stuff at about 9:30. And then he departs 11:25 a.m. So he is actually departing as we speak. Actually, sorry, no, he's already departed. That's Central Time versus Eastern Time. So about an hour ago he departed, and then he's going to be jumping on a plane headed to Anchorage, Alaska, and it looks like he will be doing some gaggling, and I think we figured out the definition for gaggling, and that is his mumbling. That is, gaggling, I guess. So anyway, from there, he's going to head over to Hiroshima, Japan. All right. So getting rid of him for a couple days, just in time to see this. And let me hit the pause down here below so we're not distracted. But this is kind of an interesting data point for you. Durham report slams the FBI Trump Russian probe. Now, that's on the Hill. I'm going to tell you, if you get a chance to go read this, get over here to Washington Examiner. It's dated today, and it actually has the full 306-page report. And I will tell you, you're going to be burning. This is like, this is a dumpster fire, man. The biggest, and you'll probably start your own dumpster fire in your house when you read all the stuff that took place. Okay. There is a ledger in here. Just kind of go through all of it. Let me pull it up a little higher so you can read it. I'm not going to go into all the details. But if you get into the table of contents and read the substance of this, you are going to be, you're going to be hot. 100%. If this doesn't light your fire, then you have no fire. This is just insane. The stuff that goes into this. All right. We start here with this. Possible criminal conduct. And these are all facts, by the way, that are pulled into this. So the word possible is being very lenient. But false statements, perjury, falsification of records, obstruction of justice, violation of civil rights, conspiracy to violate civil rights, campaign contributions, by foreign nationals, fraud against the United States, money laundering. Okay. Then you got all the other stuff, Crossfire Hurricane. It just keeps going on and on and on. It talks about Five Eyes, all the FISA stuff. The fact that the FBI just basically covered up all of this, as well as the CIA. I mean, they're all involved in this. But it just is on. And as you can see, it's pretty damning, actually. And my question is, really, at the end of the day, where the hell has this guy been? I mean, seriously, what has taken so long? This is going to get snuffed. It'll never see the light of day. When the reality is, everybody that's got names in this report should probably be in jail. And the fact that they aren't, and they're all walking the street, and they all have jobs working for our government still, it just blows me away. You talk about corruption to the next level, and nobody will be talking about it. All right. Hey, speaking of that, you know what? I glanced over this. I meant to talk. This is going to be that TFR. It's up in Anchorage, Alaska. Just FYI. Notice the fires up here now. Kind of crazy. But anyway, that is where Flashbang's going. I wanted to touch on something. I don't know if you guys follow Dutch, but I'm just going to talk it for a second. And I want to show you this. He covered this on the 5th of May, and I was doing some Dutch Sense catch-up. This guy, I'm telling you, if you don't follow him and you want to complete, look at the wobble in the weather radar. Look at this. Now, this was on a local news thing, and actually a news anchor in one of the local Missouri, I think it is, weather reports talked about this wobble. Couldn't explain it, but he just said that they got this wobble that, and Dutch goes in this video on the 5th. He goes into a tremendous amount of detail. He looks at it from 100 different angles, different radars. There was a bunch of different anomalies that happened around the same time. But that wobble is not some kind of software glitch, okay? That was an actual wobble. And again, watch this wobble. Watch how it bounces. All of the weather, the entire cloud surface just wobbles. And it's only in the United States. If you back that map up and you spin it and you go over at the same time over the rest of the world, there's no wobble. It's only over the U.S. Anyway, it's Dutch Sense. If you guys don't follow him, you're missing out on a lot. He usually covers earthquake stuff, but he gets the USGS pretty doggone mad. So anyway, Dutch Sense. He's my brother from a different mother. Great dude, and just super intelligent. Like I said, this I was playing catch up. It just blew me away. All right. So anyway, I digress onto that, but you know they are messing with the weather, folks. There's no two ways about it. All right. Okay, let's move on into the news cycle here. This right here is another indicator. This says an unusually terrible freight market may get a lot worse. So LTLs, that's just a ton of different dynamics tied to this. But this is available over on Sonar. They have a link to it. This is actually Zero Hedge. But they're just talking about the fact that they are starting to see anomalies that are very bad for this industry, and not including fuel, right? They're saying the operating costs are going up, rates are going down. It is definitely plunging, and it's not good. You can see some of these write-ups here from back in 2019 talking about a trucking bloodbath. I mean, this article cites a lot of things, but the reality is you can see it. It hit some peaks here, and then it just free fell, and it's down here now, all right? Not good, because when you talk about goods, the movement of goods across the country, it's not just rail. These guys move a ton of stuff, and if they stop moving, you stop eating. You stop getting fuel to your car, okay? Very, very important, and it's probably deliberate, all right? And more good news. This is actually CNBC. Yes, I know. It's super flaming left, but I'm just going to point it out here. Home Depot just forecasts a weak consumer demand. What that really means is far more than just the fact that they didn't hit their numbers. They actually missed their numbers by 2.7%, which is a pretty big drop. But what they're saying is this is a leading indicator, like many of the other things we've talked about, where it's showing that people aren't putting money back into their homes. They're not doing fixer-up stuff. It also shows you from a small business perspective. If you've ever been into a Home Depot and over into the pro section where the guys are lining up to do jobs, those are little mom and pop businesses that are out doing stuff. It shows you that they're actually not doing the amount of business that they typically do. Okay, that tells you it's a very bad standpoint from a consumer demand. Okay, and again, we talked about Walmart. We've talked about Target Boutique cutting orders in Q4 of last year. It has just been one thing after another. Just keep your eye on it because, again, it's just a data point, but it is it's telling us there's something coming. I don't think it's good. I really don't. If you follow Glenn Beck, if you don't, you got to follow Glenn Beck. He's a staple in the news cycle relative to geopolitics and everything else that's going on out there. But I will tell you, he's hitting on stuff that is, he's over the target when it comes to what is coming. And I have a really bad feeling that what is on the horizon is very bad. And it's not just the United States. All right. Okay. Speaking of that, China just received their first settled LNG, that's natural gas, cargo from the UAE. This, and that's liquefied natural gas, by the way. The reason this is important is because they used to pay for it in dollars, petrodollars. They're not doing that anymore. They're actually paying for it now in the yuan or the yuan petro. That right there is the beginning of the end of the dollar. Okay. Let me show you this article that just came out. This, I think, is pretty doggone important as well. Now, here it is. This is over on Forward Observer. Again, another source. If you don't get Forward Observer, you want to get these guys. They are, the name Forward Observer comes from, they come out of the intelligence community, and they are on the front edge of everything going on. They have a beautiful roll-up presented, in an email. They've got shows on YouTube. This is interesting here. This basically, I think is Secretary Austin has warned about this continued resolution in terms of China. Okay, saying that the department programs such as munition production, if it continues on with this debt ceiling that we're not being able to settle and we default, that impacts munition productions, right? They basically will go and fund. That blows my mind away that they would actually stop munition production, given the fact we're about to go into a war. But it's not good, okay? And that's one of many things. You may remember I covered the lack of ships coming from China, and this has been now a year and a half. And that right there was that was the initial shot over the bow, and it went unnoticed by our representatives or our Congress. Nobody even caught it. Okay. The fact that has stopped and the fact that they haven't noticed tells me there is a level of spiritual blindness going on in this administration that is unmatched anywhere. It just blows you away. Okay. So, and that talks about the Z. Basically, he knows this is the time to strike, and he's thus the yuan, right? The petro yuan. And like I said, he's already done it with the ships not coming over here, but this is just one more yet nail in the coffin. All right. Okay. Let's talk Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The U.S. looks to add 3 million barrels after draining 2.9 million in 1 week. So basically, they're going to add just a skosh over what they just took out in a week. 3 million barrels in the week. To give you a general idea, U.S. consumes about 50 million barrels of petroleum a day. Okay? So when you see little numbers like this, 3 million, and now, that's That is a couple hours worth. So the scary thing here is that our numbers in the SPR are down to levels that we saw in 1982. That's when we started the SPR. If we go to war, that right there is how we basically, we're hedging, right? You're basically buying fuel so that you're not relying on anybody else in order to keep the lights on, to keep things going. Should we have some type of a situation that takes out your ability to produce fuel, okay? So, for example, hurricane season, right? I just put in my Monkey Minute over on Patreon the fact that we are entering an El Nino period that is going to be a record El Nino. They're saying this is something we have never seen before. That means you're going to have more intense hurricanes because the water temps are going to be hotter, all right? It means a lot of different things in terms of droughts, etc. But that, you start taking out all of our petroleum conversion abilities down along the ports in, say, Brownsville or up the eastern seaboard, then you're going to have to reach back into your SPR to keep you from having chaos, okay? Also, keep in mind, we're entering the summer months here, not too far out, right? That's when gasoline prices start to go through the roof. And our government typically reaches into the SPR to try to knock that down, to keep it from hitting our wallets so heavily. If that's gone, then you're not going to have any reprieve when the fuel prices start spiking above $5-6 a gallon. So, again, pay attention to this, okay? It's a data point. All right, let's get over here. This is your dollar for today. It's actually pretty strong, which was surprising. It has been kind of bouncing up above the 102.90 mark, which is good. You can see it was down last night, and then all of a sudden I don't know really what happened here. Maybe Flashbang leaving the country it drives the dollar up. I don't know, but anyway, that's where we are today. Okay, let's talk immigration flights for a minute. And you're going to start to notice a pattern here. It's a concerning pattern. Yes, they do have them headed down south, bringing people back from, say, Harlingen here at the border. I don't see anything coming out of El Paso. I do see some Phoenix in here. And I see some other flights that seem to be coming out of border towns headed over to, it looks to be Alexandria, maybe Baton Rouge, which is interesting. And then this one, headed from Ontario, California, over to Greensboro. Okay. And then some other ones here headed to somewhere here in Georgia. Yeah, interior. And I think that's Athens, actually. So, but yeah. Normally we want to see them just back and forth here, heading down south. When I start to see these aircraft icons over the United States, I start to realize that they're probably putting people to the interior of our country, okay? And then this is World Atlantic. This is the prison flight stuff. It just landed. It went from El Paso to San Diego. We'll move on. Bitdefender. All right. Take a look at the attacks happening here. Holy smokes. Pretty busy today. Yeah. This is the map that really tells you that they don't like the United States. Nobody does. They're just constantly, it's just every shot that comes at us, it's hate-filled, okay? So remember that when you travel abroad because, it's coming from everybody. South America, Europe, obviously you expect it to come out from here, but it's not good. Yeah, once again, making me log in. Wish it would stop doing that. It means there was an update while I was prepping. All right, a couple of new things on the board here. This, off the coast of Morocco, that's actually going to be unmanned flights. So it's insane the amount of unmanned flights that we have going these days. Just blows you away. It truly is starting to look a lot like the Terminator out there. It's insane. Danger area, operation, exercise. Again, notice that we got the box here again, north of Ukraine. That's probably there before. I just haven't pointed it out. But this Belarus is pro-Russia, all right? And you can bet your bottom dollar that if there is an attack that goes in, spring offensive, and it engages NATO, that Warsaw and all this other stuff out here it's game on, okay? And Belarus will be all up in their business. That I can guarantee. All right. And we got some stuff going on down here in Saudi. Looks like a lot of things happening out here off of India. A lot of stuff going on up in this area near Islamabad, the Pakistan border. Keep in mind, Pakistan is in a very big civil unrest mode right now, and they are a nuclear-toting country, so to speak. All right? Not good. Let me back up. I'm going to back it up just a little further, see if we got anything. Australia looks to be having a lot of exercises going on. We've actually had that confirmed. And then you can see a lot of stuff going on off the coast of Japan, down around South Korea, and then out here near Okinawa. Very, very active. I'll back it up, see if I got anything up here. Nothing else up here. Interesting. And Alaska has actually got a lot of stuff going on. There's the TFR related to flashbang. All right. Let's bounce on over here. This is insane. None of this is ever covered in the U.S. media, by the way. You guys don't ever see this. This is Al Jazeera. And Ukraine Supreme Court chief was actually detained because he got caught up in a $2.7 million scheme. They're saying this is the biggest ever case that implicates the judges over there. Now, we have talked about the corruption in Ukraine for quite some time. There's a reason why we are over there and the reason why they aren't allowed into NATO. Somebody in NATO has some common sense. They will not allow Ukraine to be part of NATO because of the level of corruption in their country. Okay? Yeah, we'll go to fight and battle for them. That's because this is a stronghold for us, who is probably number 2 in terms of corruption, as I just showed you with the Durham report. But yeah, this is a lot of money changing hands. Check this out. This is basically the scheme. $2.7 million went to the lawyers, of which $1.8 million was to be paid to Supreme Court justices and $900,000 to lawyers for their services as intermediaries. Look at this. You got to love this. That's just a couch. Well, that's not the euro, folks, is it? That's greenbacks, man. Yep. I don't know what these pills are here, but that right there, that's a lot of hundreds, a lot of Benjamins, and probably came from money we sent over there because we don't track it. So that's that. You know what that is right there? That is your tax dollars. Is what that is sitting on that couch. All right, let's move on. Okay. Update on crucial debt ceiling negotiations. We don't care about that because he's not going to do anything. All right. Russia scrambles jets in response to NATO patrols. That has actually started happening. Notice that I got dinged for the ad blocker. Yes. I do use it. It's for that reason. But anyway, looks like it was a German P-3 Orion that was doing some regular flights and 2 French Atlantic maritime patrol aircraft. And I guess this Su-27 basically went out and greeted them. So happens all the time, but we just seems to be making the news more. All right. What does that tell you? It tells you that things are about to go hot. And what they want is they want the general populace to be brainwashed enough so that when it does happen, that Russia looks like the bad guy. Okay. All right. Here we go. Dozens of interceptors fired as Kiev faced the most complex barrage yet. These are, you can see the air defense systems firing off here in the middle of the night. But yeah, they're saying, I want to say it was about 18 of them or something that basically took place overnight. And so we just continue to watch this. But notice that the location is not out, in the far reaches, along the border. It's Kiev. That is right there, folks. It's the capital of the city. That's where little man resides, supposedly. All right. And that is a highly populated area, and that is a change. And here's some little interesting news here. Let me click on that, get it out of the way. But just a little headline for you. A Russian T-72 will split the U.S.-made Abrams like nuts when they enter Kiev. So this basically is a threat. The T-72 is basically this tank down below. Will it split an Abrams? I don't think so, but just a little bit of smack talking from the Russians. The key behind this is really who is driving these things, right? I will tell you, if you put the U.S. Army engaged in this against the T-72s, we're going to smoke them all day long. It is the brains behind the equipment that is going to make the difference here, okay? The problem is you can put Ukrainians all day long inside of an M1 Abrams. They are not super comfortable with it. That takes time. You got to be in the saddle for a while to kind of get a good feel of what this thing is capable of, right? And it also has to do with your command structure. And, they will probably get split by like nuts just because these guys will be sitting ducks. They won't really know how to operate the equipment properly. That'd be my guess. All right, let's move on. All right, Ukraine fighter. Basically, they're going to receive jet fighter support. This is a pledge from UK and the Netherlands. Keep in mind, the Ukrainians have been in the UK training as well as the United States on how to fly our aircraft. All right. Now, I find this interesting. It says here, UK Prime Minister and the Dutch Premier agreed to build an international coalition to provide Kiev with F-16 fighter jets. That's different. All right. That's not something we have seen before. So, yeah, this is definitely about to go hot. There's no two ways about it. So pay attention. When you start to add tanks, that was one thing. That's a ground war, right? But when you start to add a multitude of aircraft into the arena, that's going to change the whole face of this. And think for a minute, it ain't going to be long before probably as soon as there is a true engagement into the interior of Ukraine, NATO will probably get engaged within a very short period of time. All right. Camber flights. We just dropped a couple off the board there. We've got 4 up. Notice 2 of them are 747s. Exiting Ramstein and Charleston International. Well, what's at Charleston International? That is equipment. And that's our port, right? And that's where we are shipping stuff across the sea pretty frequently. So it looks like 4 of those camber flights. Again, usually troops and or things that go boom. If it's not one of the wide bodies, that's a cargo type of aircraft. It's typically troops. Okay. We get over here to Biggs. I don't have really anything on the board. We do have one Eastern Airlines. It's a 767-300 coming out of Phoenix. Could be migrant related. Actually leaving to Phoenix. So yeah, that might very well be immigrant stuff. Okay, what we got here? Dover. All right. So from a Dover perspective, got a couple C-17s on the board. Bo coming. That's interesting. Maybe these are brand new aircraft. Boeing 13 and 24. It looks like aircraft deliveries. So it looks like the Air Force is taking delivery of some planes. Maybe you don't see that call sign very often. That's Boeing. Coming out of Robbins, Warner Robins, Georgia. Well, that wouldn't be Seattle. Do they manufacture? I don't know. That's weird. Never seen that before. So, all right. Move down. We do have a Coletta Air coming in from Moscota. That's home operations there. So that one's probably coming out of maintenance and going into service. Headed into Dover, which it'll probably pick up a whole bunch of stuff and take it abroad. Yeah, there you go. There's your camper flight. Ramstein. That could be that aircraft right there. And then this Boeing Bo 13 headed back to Warner Robins. I don't know. Maybe Boeing's doing some third-party C-17 stuff, for money. Again, I'm kind of dumbfounded there. All right. Over here to Ramstein, Germany. And we've got camber flight coming inbound, another reach flight. That right there is going to be the French Brigade aircraft coming inbound. Doesn't show aircraft type. Another 747 coming in from Doha, which is an insanely long runway. Another camber flight coming in from Dover. Atlas Air coming in. Eastern Airlines inbound. That one's Norfolk, Baltimore, Washington. So Ramstein looks to be on the uptick. And then departure-wise, got no idea where that one's going. 777 headed to Nuremberg. Camber flight headed near Alexandria. That'll be Egypt. And then this one headed to Kuwait. So pretty active, actually, for Ramstein. Ramstein. I should know better. And only because I've been to Germany a lot. Okay. Not by choice either. Okay. RZE Poland. This is Ukraine right here. Forward operating base. That'll be the one that goes super hot. When you see it plateau, which I think we have seen, then that would be a good indicator that this stuff is definitely getting ready. When they're done pushing stuff into a forward operating base, that's a pretty good indicator. Everything is in position to go hot. All right. So I only see one 747 coming in from Dover. Let me go up. Nothing else. Yeah, I'm only seeing one. I mean, we've been seeing 6 or 8 on a regular basis. I got nothing else. Oh, there it is. Atlas Air from there headed to Turkey. Oh, sorry. Seoul, South Korea, not Turkey. Why did I say Turkey? Right? Just rolled right off the tongue. I don't know why I did that. All right. Guess I just had a senior moment. Okay, here we go. German Air Force there. Looks like that one is on the departure schedule as well. Don't see the aircraft type, though. Okay, let's bounce over here to the cargo flights. And that one didn't want to work for me for a minute there. What we got? Okay, it actually exited out. And then this is this is Western Global. So that was a national cargo that just went bye on me and locked up and then went by. All right. So don't know what we're missing there, but it definitely had some flights up. And then this one here is going to be Atlas Air. Just wanted to show you, these guys are pretty busy. A lot of their stuff, they're the largest 747 cargo company in the world. All right. Now, when I went into the board down here below, the big thing that was catching my eye were the amount of military bases. Now, that was an hour and a half ago. It has since changed a little bit. So we go down. Notice there's a C coming out of Anchorage, Alaska, but they all seem to be, for the most part, domestic, except for one headed to South Korea. But Anchorage, a lot of flights going in and out of Anchorage. But you got down here at the bottom, just notice you have Hawaii. Then you've got Yokota Air Base. Very hard to see from my screen cut off there. But there's Yokota. That's going to be a military op there. These guys are really, really busy. McConnell Air Force Base to Charleston. Moving some assets over to be probably shipped out. But a lot of it's dropped off. There were probably 6 or 8 of those flights that were actually on the board at a military base. So, okay, we are going to look. It just drives me nuts when let's go over here to browse by operator, and NCR I think is what we're looking for here. National Cargo. And we're going to do airborne flights. All right. That's how you do it in Flight Aware. And let's see if it wants to work this time. For some reason, boy, it was just giving me a really hard time. All right, well, we got one up, 747 coming out of Spain, and it looks to be headed down south to South America. Interesting. All right, there you have it. Okay, well, listen, oh, wait, there was one more thing I did want to show you before we go. Israel. Let's take a look at this. Just to give you a general idea, this is Gaza only, and a very small part of Israel down in the southern corner. If you go all the way, keep going south, you run right into the Egypt border. Keep in mind, Gog Magog, Egypt is one of the very few that don't attack Israel when everybody else is. But this is the activity that has been going on nonstop in Israel. And you can see Gaza is a war zone. I mean, it is straight up very, very bad. And it's not getting it's not letting up. So continue to keep your eye on that. Be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But anyway, now we're done. So listen, if you would just, again, hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification. It is greatly appreciated. It does wonders for the channel. And we'll see you for the live show on Friday. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. And every day I say that, it becomes more and more important. All right, that's it. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworxus.com.